It's a show with two retired detectives that were in the thick of New York crime, fast and hectic. They got some stories and some jokes, even an interview with the most popular folks. Off the cuff, off the cuff. One episode just ain't enough. Get a little laughter and an interview too. It's maybe the best thing you can do.
How old were you when you got into the life? Let's start there.
You know what? I was a young kid, very young. My mom and dad separated at the age of 6, 7 years old. My father wasn't in the home. So what I did was I looked up to the wise guys on the street corner and in the social clubs. But I was very young. I would say not even in my teens. You know, I was in and out of social clubs, and these guys, I was looking for their favor. And little Georgie Adamo, his godfather was Anthony Spero. His other godfather was Eddie Lino. And this is how I got into this life, just hanging out in social clubs and rubbing elbows with these wise guys and them putting their arm around you and, you know, them liking you and you liking them. And the thing is, as you're growing up, a lot of these guys are good guys, you know, and some of them are creeps. You know, some of them could steer you in the wrong direction and some of them can steer you in the right direction. And what they do is a lot of them use you until you're not, you know, until you're all done.
So you're not useful anymore.
That's it. And then they get rid of you. You know, and that's exactly what happened to my friend Paul Gulino.
So, Jimmy, you were more or less than raised on by and on the streets, and your role models weren't teachers, they weren't construction workers, they weren't cab drivers, they were wise guys.
Yes, absolutely. I come from a good family. I have no mafia guys in my family, but I didn't have a father in the home. So my father figure was the wise guys in the social clubs and on the corner. These are the men I looked up to. You have these guys, you want to become like them. They have stacks of money in their pocket. They look sharp all the time. They have jewelry on and they have power and they give orders to other guys. And through your eyes, you see this and you say, wow, you know what? I want to be like this when I get older. And then if you're in the street, you're starting to get to know the game. You're starting to get to know who they are, the position they hold, and the family that they're in. So my neighborhood was a recruitment center for young kids. I know you're from Gravesend. I'm from Bensonhurst, but Gravesend, Bensonhurst, it ain't too far away. And I also know Avenue U, Avenue X, you know, Avenue S. And, you know, right now, that neighborhood today is all mobbed up. You know, I mean, the thing is now is that they put it more underground than how it was when I was a kid. You know, it's back underground, you know, and the thing is, when I was growing up, the wise guys were wise guys, not compared to the guys today. Today, you go do a 5-year bid, you come home and they're going to straighten you out because you know what? You stood up for 5 years. So it's a different ball game from years ago. Years ago, the mafia was very powerful. They had a long arm. They had the garment district. They had the
Jimmy, can I just stop you for 1 second? For our fans who aren't educated in the expressions of the mob, getting straightened out means to get made. I just wanted to give that definition out there.
Yes, absolutely. I use these terms, and some people don't understand them. But thanks for.
I want to expand on it a little bit. That really
Yeah.
means is that when you're hanging around with mob guys or you're trying to become part of their crew or their clique, that's induction into the mob. There's an actual ceremony where they actually induct you into the mob, and then you have to answer to whoever it is that you're under. You want to explain that a little better, maybe, Jimmy?
Well, you know what? Look, when you're a young boy and you're looking up to these guys, the plan is to someday becoming a member, becoming a part of the family, whether it's the Bonanno family, one of the 5 crime families. And this is your goal to become a member because once you become a member of that family, now you have a license to do anything you like and you have your own crew. So, you know, your crew will, you know, come you let them out and they go do what they have to do as far as earning money. It's all about making money. That's what it's all about.
I think one of the worst things, obviously, about being in this life is that most people in the life go to prison for a stint here and there, some for long stints. And prison's got to suck. You want to talk about that a bit?
Well, look, when I went away, I was 23 years old. I caught a bank robbery. I also had a 4 to 8 pending. I beat up a guy with an axe handle. Some girl called me. Some guy was banging on her door. And I got out with an axe handle. I had a 380 on me. And as I'm beating the guy up with an axe handle, there's a lady across the street looking out the window, watching me beat this guy down. She ends up calling the cops. I hop in my car. This happened in Marine Park. And I had a 380 on me. 2 blocks away, the cops pull me over. They find the 380 and they find the axe handle all bloodied up. I ended up getting a 4 to 8 with that. That ran concurrent with my federal bank robbery. So what I'm saying is that, look, there's
What did
nothing.
the guy do, Jimmy, that you called over there? What was that about? Real quick.
What he was doing was he was knocking on this girl's door. He was harassing her. So she called me up. She said, Jimmy, could you do me a favor? Could you help me? This guy's banging on my door. He won't leave me alone. I tried talking to the guy nice. He came out of his mouth. He was, I didn't like what he said. And I beat him down with an axe handle. I fractured his skull and I caught a 4 to 8 with that. But the thing is, you know what? Looking back, it was a stupid move. I could have avoided that. But you know what? Listen, my destiny is my destiny. Obviously I cooperated and that life is over for me. Now what I do is I'm on this podcast, I tell my stories. So, that was actually a blessing for me to come forward and put this all behind me. But listen, things do bother me because every time I tell you a story, I'm reliving it.
Say wise guys were looking for someone to do something. What would they look for Jimmy Calandra? What was his forte? What did he do as his criminal talents? What was his biggest talent?
Well, I'm going to tell you the truth. You know what? I ran with a badass crew, the Bath Avenue crew. Now, it doesn't mean I wasn't a good kid. I mean, doing the bad thing, you're a good guy. Doing the right thing, I mean, people look at you and say, what, you're too good. You gotta do a little bad. But listen, if someone needed, for example, their legs broke, or even if I had to be,
Who needs that? I don't think anyone needs that.
even if I had to be involved in a murder at that time, when I was growing up, looking up to these people, my thing was I used to love to steal. I used to love to rob banks. I used to love to do burglaries, rob cars. But as you get older, you know what? You move up the ladder, okay? And now you're involved in murder. So they want to make sure that you're capable. And everyone is capable of killing somebody. You don't necessarily have to pull the trigger. Okay, all you have to do is be there. Whether you're luring someone in, you're at the scene, and you know what, you're keeping your mouth shut. That's all they want.
I think you're making a good point, Jimmy, because a lot of times in the cases, and Tommy can definitely talk about that, you could just know about it, be present, drive the guy, pick the guy up, whatever it is, get him to the location to be killed. You're part of the murder. So your culpability, so to speak, is just as much as the guy that pulls the trigger.
Absolutely.
Tommy, with regard to what Jimmy was just referencing, now in the past, we know for a fact that in the Mississippi burning case, that famous movie, that the organized crime was enlisted. What do you got to say about that, Tommy? You think has that happened in the past? Can you put any words to that?
As far as Mississippi burning went, the truth to that story,
Yeah, sure. Talk about it, Tom.
that 100%, that was Greg Scarpa. Greg was. Yeah, I mean, watching the movie, they change and tweak everything. But Greg was brought down there by the FBI, and I think one of the guys that knew where the bodies were buried owned a TV shop, and he went there at night, and he beat the information out of him, and he found out where those bodies were buried, and they dug those bodies up. They also found out who killed them, and I mean, it's not really a secret anymore. I mean, I know back in the day they really didn't expose that, but that's come out. It's come out in court, I believe. You know, and
But Tommy, that was the FBI that enlisted the mob to do work that they couldn't
but
get
they've
done.
done, but you know, the government has enlisted the mob in a lot of different things. They've enlisted the mob when Lucky Luciano was in jail, with Meyer Lansky brokering a deal with Lucky Luciano as far as World War II went, which was gave some amazing intelligence, and that's how
That was a big intelligence gathering
Lucky
thing.
Luciano got pardoned, and he got deported to one of the conditions that he get deported to Sicily, but he gave some amazing information related to people he had, you know, on the docks, where they came up with Nazis working at the docks, the layout of Sicily for the ships, you know, going in, the warships going in. Um, there was also the government involved with the Castro situation, you know.
What about Gus Faraci? Did I know that the guys on the street were kind of tearing up the street, you know, putting the word out that that he was a dead man if they could get him. No.
Well, I don't think anybody really cared what happened to him. You know, what he did was a terrible thing. Uh, and they were hitting, you know, the government, you know, DEA especially, you know, was all over the street, hitting everybody really hard in the pocket. And, you know, organized crime knew that he made a fatal mistake. And they got one of his best friends to take him out. And
You know,
I don't really think anybody, you know, cared that much about him expiring, you know.
One episode